Right, guys, welcome back to, surprisingly enough, even more DOA 6. It hasn't even been a day since we last got information, like the reveal and everything, and we already have more information, even more. So early this morning, this Saturday morning, in case I don't get this out in time, a article on very popular Japanese magazine Famitsu was published on DOA 6, and they kind of talked about a lot of the stuff that we already kind of saw last time in the last video, but they go into more detail about various things. So again, I kind of took extracts from the article itself, and we're gonna take a look at them and discuss some things that happened there. Now, as a disclaimer, this is in Japanese. It hasn't been officially translated yet, at least not in its entirety. So you'll have to bear with the with the dank ass translation that Google Translate gives us. But I think the general idea comes out pretty well. So first, here we have, it kind of goes into the basics of DOA as it is, kind of like battling, punch, kick, and throwing, and kind of goes into the triangle system and stuff like that. And then it talks about, right after DOA 5, it talks about damage of close hit at high counter. Now, close hit of some blowing technique, now that's referring to close hits, which were a thing in DOA 5, way before that even. And it says that the damage multiplier was 1.6 times, but the current version of DOA 6 seems to be set to twice that, which is crazy. And again, I understood this wrong the first time. This is why you pay attention to punctuation. I thought it was talking about the throws and throws on high counter damage, but no, it seems that it's talking about close hits, and more specifically close hits in high counter, which is that barely even happened in DOA 5, but we kind of go into something that kind of goes in conjunction with this a little bit later. But yeah, it says that it's still under adjustment, as it would have a big influence on fight balance. You wouldn't really think so, because it's not something that you even saw often before. But again, we're gonna go into that a little bit later. So here, just all casually, they're like, by the way, systems such as Sidestep, Power Blow, Power Launcher, Critical Bursts, etc. that were in DOA 5 have not been introduced in this work. Just like that. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty big news there. I think we were all kind of wondering, it's like, are these mechanics going to come back? And more and more, I think everyone kind of saw it coming, that yeah, no, those were exclusive to DOA 5, they should stay back there. We should leave those behind, with DOA 5. But Sidesteps as well. So none of those mechanics are coming back, but then the next little piece right here, new system, side attack, command either A or up and down or 2S. Instead of abolishing Sidesteps, we introduced a new system called side attack, or releasing the lever. Lever is referring to the sticks in arcade cabinets, or arcade sticks. Direction key and up or down with the S button, while releasing evasive action sideways. Fucking broken ass shit, dude. Release an attack that hits as it is with a straight blow. You can attack while avoiding it. So yeah, this is basically saying it's not entirely different from the DOA 5 sidestep system, but when you do this, you are doing an automatic attack. Now, although it can be used in a sense resembling the sidestep of DOA 5, what I just said, in the sense that it avoids, it creates a blow, so it is somewhat more risky. And kind of saying that this holds a little bit more risk because you are sidestepping, and the sidestep might be better than in DOA 5, but you're doing an automatic attack. Now it's left to see between all the characters, like some characters might have side attacks that are safe or unsafe and stuff like that. Maybe some will be like guard breaks or some shit like that. So also, since side attack is a technique to cope with the hit, if you succeed in side attack at short range, you can aim for major damage with counter, hit, and close hit. So again, that's what I was saying before, what we just read prior to this. It seems that these side attacks are the ones that are going to enforce the close hit mechanic the most here. And another thought that came to me while reading this before was that if they're talking about close hit damage on high counter getting buffed, like, does that mean that sidesteps are gonna be a little bit stronger or resistant to throws or something like that? Because that's the only situation where that would happen, you know what I mean? Like, are you actually going to be able to sidestep throws in this game instead of having like a throw break mechanic? That's pretty crazy. But again, it says, furthermore, in order to blow away the opponent greatly, if you apply mass destruction, etc. on a certain stage, it seems you can aim for a reversal. And I think we kind of saw this a little bit in the trailer that we already have with Helena. There's a part where Helena avoids one of Kasumi's attacks, and she does the side attack, and it kind of goes into like the cinematic like slowdown. So that has to be it. And then she gets like a wall combo off of it. So yeah, depending on how this works, you could get like pretty big damage off of like a simple sidestep read, right? So that could be a pretty big buff for the sidestep in this game. We talked about in the previous video about movement and how you could buff the movement system in DOA. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff here, so we'll have to see how it actually works. Hopefully we get to see some of that soon. But then next we go into a new system, Fatal Lash, which I think is actually supposed to be Fatal Rush. So pressing the S button 4 times will result in a continuous attack. Every character is activated, and when the first hit triggers a new fighting attribute, Fatal Stun. Now, Fatal Stun is a state in an unprotected state where normal hold cannot be performed. So basically it hits all stages. If the break gauge is full, the last hit changes to break blow. Now, this is also a big piece of information here, which is telling us, and it reveals also in the trailer that we already saw, what that attack generally did, what that attack was. So if you guys remember, like in the trailer, there's a part where he hits him with like a hook fist, and then it creates like this big stun, right? So that's what this is. That's the first hit, presumably the first hit of Jan Lee's Fatal Rush. So it's basically saying here that the first hit of every Fatal Rush in the game will give this Fatal Stun. A lot of use of the word fatal here. It's going to give you a stun where you can't hold. You actually can't do anything. Again, if the rumors of staggers being taken out are true, like, that's crazy. And then it kind of goes into like a break blow mechanic, and it's like, it says if the break gauge is full, you the last shot of your Fatal Rush becomes a break blow. Which I'm assuming is just like, yeah, you do like your Fatal Rush, and then you have the meter turns like this big, like cinematic like thing, right? It says here that the break gauge disappears, which I don't know if it means that, you know, you spend the gauge, or if it just disappears for the round or the match even. Again, could be a mistranslated thing. And then it's an easy to use technique for beginners, as it's an easy to use combo attacking for advanced users. The hit at all stages is merit. What the fuck does that mean? However, the Fatal Rush is an upper stage attack with a slightly delayed skill, and when the first stage is guarded, there's a big gap. Okay, so hold on. Moreover, there's also a weak point that it cannot be derived from the next technique unless the technique hits. So that's basically telling me that you're gonna wanna use this Fatal Stun, or at least the first hit, as an actual thing, like an actual part of your character's moveset, more like a punish, like a whiff punish, because from what I get here, if it gets blocked, the first hit of your Fatal Rush is super unsafe. Like, it says there's a big gap, so, you know, I'm assuming that maybe there's a big gap between that attack and the next attack, or it's super unsafe, or you can hold it easily, you know. Could mean a bunch of things, but it's basically saying that, yeah, against advanced players, you're just gonna get destroyed for saying that shit. You're gonna get blown the fuck up. So there's also a weak point that it cannot be derived from the next technique unless the technique hits. And again, that could mean that if you block the first hit, the fail rush would just not continue. So that's pretty interesting. Again, a lot of information. I feel that you could like make separate videos and kind of like discuss and theorize about each of these mechanics, but for now I think we want to keep it simple with this. Again, there's a lot of information to digest here and kind of like think about. So moving on, we go into the new system, Break Blow. So it's so-called supermodal work that activates by consuming all full break gauge. When it hits, a special production enters. Cool. Special production that strikes a large damage to the opponent at the beginning of the attack. Okay. There's the performance to judge the upper attack, middle attack. Also, the throwing technique can be won, so it can be used like a so-called invincible technique. Okay, so that's basically all you need to know. And again, I think I talked about this last time with the Break Blow in the previous videos. Like, it very much reminded me of a mechanic that was introduced in Tekken 7 recently, or in Tekken 7 in general, which was the Power Crush. Basically a move that you do that it's invincible in the sense that it will go through all highs, mids, and throws. But I think it's not mentioned here, so I'm assuming it's the same. It will lose to lows, so you can low the opponent out of it. It doesn't say here. It's not said if you might be able to hold him. You might not be able to. But you know, the difference from Tekken 7 and this game is that, you know, in Tekken 7 you can just do that shit, but in DOA you're gonna have to make a conscious decision about it, because it is linked to your meter, and as we know already, there's multiple uses to your meter. So yeah, I think that's it's incorporated a lot better in this game, in my opinion. And then it says after the technique, oh okay, hold on, I skipped the part here. Also, even when connected from aerial combos, it is easier to incorporate into a combo as it firmly hits all stages. Again, that could mean that it has like a very low hitbox, meaning that you can combo into it easily, but we don't even know how the fucking combos look in this game. So yeah, that could mean a bunch of things. Then it says it will blow the opponent off greatly, but DOA 5, like Power Blow, there is no direction selection. So by the way, in the current version, if you decide Break Blow, they're also directing that the body gets scratched and costumes are torn. Okay, so that's where like all the crazy like visual effects on the characters, like the bruises and the blood and all that bullshit comes in. People getting fucking dicked in the face. But yeah, it also says here that unlike the Power Blow, again, they're all like, no guys, but it's actually different. You can choose a direction from it, so it just happens. So, you know, the Power Blow was a little bit of a combat mechanic in DOA 5. It was alright for the most part. But then in this game, or rather than DOA 5, you could also use your Power Blow to kind of like, in conjunction with like the interactive stages and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. But it seems that you're not going to be able to do this in this game. It just kind of happens. You're gonna have no like control over that, which is fine, I guess. Again, if they want to regulate damage a little bit more, then that's fine. But yeah, again, a lot of information here. You could derive a lot of things from this, but again, I think for now it's better to just kind of move on into the next thing, which here is probably the most important, or I think the most the mechanic that kind of like calls that attention more, at least now, is Break Hold. So hold on top, middle, bottom, all blows. If it succeeds, it turns behind the opponent while giving a slight amount of damage, and it becomes possible to move a little before. So again, this also reveals what Jan Lee was doing in that trailer. Now, I thought that was just like a hold, like they actually gave him like a mid-kick advanced hold, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But it is revealing here that no, that is actually the Break Hold, and it's going to be a universal tool. And even upon reviewing the footage a little bit a little more closely from the trailer, you can see that when January hits that hold, the lighting actually darks, like the entire stage goes dark, right? So it goes into like a pretty big like cinematic thing. And this is also telling us that it's going to be the same for every character basically. So you know, the main point of the break hold is not going to be like, oh, it just gives you an automatic hold of any level. It just gives you a very specific animation where you turn around the opponent, and I think you hit him like once or twice, and then you can move or something like that. Again, we have to see more details on that. But yeah, so there's already like a different application for it, as you can see, and from what you saw in the trailer. Like the way the trailer showcases is probably like is going to be like the most optimal way of doing it. It's like someone's pressuring you and fucking you up at the wall, and then you do it, and since it just works, since it beats out everything, then bam, you just got the corner, right? And it's your turn now. So it's pretty cool. And then it says here, although there is a risk, it is a very convenient returning technique, and even during fatal stun by a fatal rush, only break holds can come out. However, in anticipation of it, it's possible to turn around, stop, fatal rush at the second row. Alright, that's that's getting to another level. You can't really salvage anything from that. But I think the most important part is that you get hit by your fatal stun, like the first hit of the fatal rush, like we talked about a little bit ago, and you can't do anything. You can't do a regular hold. You might not be able to stagger escape, but in case you have the meter, you can do your break hold. So again, this is trying to tell you that there is going to be another change in the meta. It's like, oh, I just hit you with the fatal stun, but I see that you have meter. Are you going to actually use it or not? You know, so that's going to be it. It's left to see if you can punish a break hold the same as you would a regular hold, just by throwing it. We'll see. Oh, I fucking actually missed something very important here. The duration of the attack can be the same as ordinary hold, so again, that's pretty big. The break hold is not going to stay out longer, not going to have more active frames than a regular hold. It's not going to be like fucking like Lei Fang's Unshu or something like that. It's just a regular hold, right? It has no difference. So again, that's pretty good. You're gonna have to make a conscious decision of where you want to use that. So yeah, it's again that I think all these mechanics that are being implemented pretty intelligently. Like none of them, to me at least, jump to be like pretty like crazy, you know, like, oh man, this looks, or this sounds super fucking broken. Like it seemed they have a pretty good direction on all of these. I think again, from all of these individually, you can make separate videos and kind of like theorize a little bit more, but again, for now I think we're gonna keep it here. I think there's something else we have to look at here. So yeah, that was actually it for the Famitsu article. It kind of goes into other stuff like Q&A and stuff like that, but the most important stuff like related to gameplay, I think, was all that we just went through. But then also earlier this day, DualShockers actually translated a piece of the article. It doesn't go into gameplay or anything like that. It just kind of goes into the aesthetics and the presentation of the game. I think it's more of a transcript. It's not actually like a literal translation. But so we have right here, for example, it goes into, for instance, by adding dirt in the body and clothing of the fighters as they fight. One of such taboos was the girls' faces could not be heard in this game. But in this game, it will happen. Overboating and shit. It's like, no, your wife is gonna get fucking decked in the face like crazy. Again, just really trying to drive that point home. In terms of visuals, this game will be rendered more realistically. 4K, graphics and bullshit. Oh yeah, so in DOE 6 won't use the soft engine that powered DOE 5 LR and DOE Extreme 3. Another rendering engine is being used, which supports physical lighting differently that could not be included in DOE 5. That is true. That is a technical limitation that DOE 5 had. But again, that I talked about that last time, I think in the very beginning of the video, with the graphics, that I thought it was actually running on the DOA Extreme 3 engine. But again, it's being said here that yeah, we're leaving all that shit behind. It's using a different engine. So again, that's pretty cool. Really trying to drive that point home. It's like, no, this is different. This is a different DOA. Then it says the number of moving parts for character models has been increased, adding expressiveness. You can see emotions like crying and laughing. I want to see that shit. But also reactions when hit in the face. So yeah, man, I can't wait to see some of these fucking characters with like the fucking being punched in the face and shit. Maybe like Rig will actually kick people in the face. Like, man, that's gonna be so fun to see. But yeah, so I think there's another thing here. Again, we also hear this time around there won't be crossover characters at launch, as the team wants to focus on the worldwide view of DOA 6. So will happen post-launch. Nothing has been decided yet. So yeah, again, like they're just really pushing so hard for it, which I can respect. It's like, we don't want people to be like, oh, look at DOA 6 because it has this character or this character. Like, they want to show the new cast and what the new direction for the series is. And then it kind of goes more into that even. Here, of course, the ability to change costumes will also be included, and the art team is planning to work hard to create as many outfits as possible to include at launch. There will also be a story mode equivalent or superior to that of DOA 5, which we kind of talked about last time. Yeah, so you know, that's pretty cool. They want to have costumes at launch, which is great. Inevitably, I'm sure there will be DLC as well, but we'll see about that. Again, no mention of that anywhere yet, which I find pretty interesting. And then another pretty big thing here, training mode and photo mode are also in, but graveyard mode is not planned. This time is about taking cool pictures. There won't be a tag battle mode, as the team is focusing all its resources on 1 versus 1 modes. Fuck yes, fuck tag, dude. I always felt that, at least in these games, like tag was just a waste of resources and development times. Like, who cares? No one played that shit, it was broken as fuck. You could do some cool combos here and there, sure, but there was no point to it. And again, like not having like the creepy ass like grab your shit is again really driving the point home. Is like, yeah, this is different. DOA is actually different this time. So again, you have to respect it. It's cool that they have this vision and they're really sticking to it. I think that was about all that was discussed in these articles. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to take from this, and the cool thing is that we're seeing a lot of change, both in gameplay and also aesthetics as well. So again, it's kind of left to see in what direction they take it, and if it's implemented well. That's the most important part. But yeah, I think that is it for now. Alright, so now for a pretty big thing, though that just happened recently too, and it's making waves, man. But because we finally got the gameplay like reveal, or like the gameplay teaser, I guess you can say, for the game, and it shows a lot of stuff. I guess we can start with basically like the aesthetic aspect. Again, you see it in the game, does look freaking great. Oh, by the way, this footage is courtesy of Punisher. Yeah, you guys remember Punisher? He's still around. Ain't that pretty cool? But yeah, so thanks to him for posting this this entire gameplay showcase. And what we see here from the aesthetic side of things, we see like there are new intro poses. We see alternate colors for the costumes that we've already seen, which is pretty cool. I mean, Kasumi, they chose the weirdest fucking colors. They chose red for Kasumi. It looks cool. And green for Hayabusa. I was like, what the hell? Alright. Sag got only like yeah, that it appears that his default costume is the same as DOA 5, which is a little bit of a bummer, but what can you do? Then they kind of go into show Jan Lee, and his costume looks great. I love that combination of yellow and red. It looks great. Law actually had a costume like that in Tekken 4, and Helen also looks good in blue. So yeah, pretty interesting there. They show that, like I said, they showed new intro poses, win poses, and yeah, the game overall looks great. Oh, I guess another thing that you can see is that, for example, like the, what do they call it? So confusing to actually name these mechanics. The what is it? The whatever, the power blow of this game is actually going to be different for each character. You see in the gameplay showcase that Helen is actually like a palm strike. She just like slaps the shit out of you. Why you gotta do my man gently like that? They actually didn't show any gameplay of him in the gameplay teaser, which kind of bums me out, but whatever. So yeah, they showed that out. That's kind of it for the aesthetic aspects, I guess you can say. Now the gameplay, this is pretty big. The showcase starts with it starts with a little bit of a demo, I guess you can say, of the tutorial. I guess it was just for like the audience, but then this stupid ass like IGN live thing or whatever, like it blocked the fucking text, so you couldn't actually read what was being said there. So that really pissed me off. But yeah, it just kind of shows like the basic things again, showcasing all the mechanics, and you kind of see it from different characters. You know, we had already really seen like Jan Lee's side of the mechanics. So right off the bat, you know, you have like your regular strikes, the basic stuff. But when you start going into the specific mechanics for this game, is when you start noting the differences. So let me see actually here if I can find the how it starts. So yeah, it begins with the fatal stun. I mean the fatal rush style of attack. Oh no, wait, does it? I think it starts with something different. Let me see here. Yeah, so it showcases throws and stuff like that, like throwing your opponent and doing that. Alright, here we go. So yeah, it first shows the what is this fucking thing called? I always forget. Oh yeah, the break blow. So the break blow is actually way different than I expected. It is like I explained before. It's an attack that you do when it beats strikes. It beats at least mid and high strikes. It beats throws. You can see it right there. But the knockback is crazy, and maybe it's because of the wall damage, but damage also seems pretty goddamn good. And again, this doesn't consume meter or anything. And the thing that you can notice immediately is that is actually Kasumi's old critical burst animation. That's her old critical burst move. You can see right there, it's even the same input, 6p plus k. So I don't think all critical burst moves were changed to be the goddamn, this is so confusing. The fatal, wait, what? No, break blows. Yeah, the break blow. But yeah, that's the case for her. And then it goes into the fatal rush, which is like the auto combo. You can see right there that it is as I expected. That is what is shown in the trailer. That's probably the way it will be for every character. It's the fancy like 4-hit combo that looks super crazy and like it slows down the camera, you know. So yeah, you just mash S and you can see right there, I think every hit will give you a fatal stun, which is a stun you can't get out of in conventional means, which is what we were talking about before. And you can see right there, it's very hard to tell which level of hit each attack is. It looks like it's all mid, although maybe like the second or third hits seem to be high. But yeah, just kind of showcasing the auto combo there. Just basically mash as. You can kind of see it there in the text for the tutorial, which was so rudely obstructed. But it is my mash R1, and you get that. And then it goes into the the regular holds. Actually, yeah, it's just regular holds, which you can see right there. It's just, you know, the old holds, which is good. I mean, they didn't take those out or anything. And then you get into the break hold again. So you see right there that it is like I suspected. It is like I said previously. Again, this all came like this gameplay just came one of the other things, so I had to make changes on the get-go. But yeah, so that is indeed Janley's Fatal Rush. And you see that the game tells you that the only thing that you have to do there, the only option that you have, is to do the break hold. And then it is the exact same thing that you see in the trailer. Kasumi doesn't actually hold the next follow-up, she just teleports behind you. So there's no additional damage, there's nothing like that. It just turns around the situation, gives you a little bit of damage, and presumably frame advantage, and that's all that it is. And it looks different for every character, you know. Generally just kind of like pushes you back and then does his old ass 4-6p from like the 082 or some shit. So yeah, I mean that's pretty crazy. But yeah, you see it right there in action. That's all that it is. And then it goes into wait, no, this is the break blow. Break blow. What was the other thing then? I think that was the same thing. Maybe with full meter you do it. Hold on, what is that? Yeah, okay, it is the same. It is the same thing. So, like I said, the attacks that used to be your god damn it, your critical bursts are now cause a similar type of effect. But if you have the meter, you have the full gauge, you do your break blow and you get that, which, as you can see, the pushback is massive and it goes through all attacks. And the damage though, like the damage, right, it's basically just a power blow. So, but then again, as it was explained in the Famitsu article, you can't actually aim it. You can't actually aim where you want the opponent to go to be wall splatted. Then you kind of go into gameplay, just like regular matches. And here, the most interesting thing, outside of that color for Hayabusa, is the rate at which the gauge builds. You see a little bit of a slide knockdown there. You see the classic like Izuna into 7K setup, and then you see something pretty interesting here, which I found honestly kind of crazy, is that Kasumi does her launch throw, which I don't remember if it's a quarter circle 4T or half circle 4T. She does her launch throw, and then she just does the auto combo, and it doesn't do a lot of damage, admittedly, but like, again, she had full meter, so she managed to combo into the break blow, or was it the other thing? I don't know, but yeah, you get the extension, so that's pretty big damage from just a throw, you know. So I found that pretty interesting. It's like maybe an early hint at characters with launch throws being slightly better than the other characters, because they're able to easily combo into their auto combos. But I don't know, maybe all characters can do that, we don't know. But yeah, so she does that, and it's pretty crazy that like that's a pretty big thing to show there regularly. The wall game is just the same. Oh yeah, you can see some of the side attacks, the step attacks, or whatever they're called there. I don't think I recognize the animation for Kasumi's. Maybe it's like an old one. Throughout this showcase, you really see that they seem to be quite effective. I mean, later on in the gameplay, you see that Helena avoids Janley's 8H plus K, but that's a pretty linear move anyway. So Then you're going to show Hayate and Zack fighting it out too. That Hayate costume also looks cool. It looks pretty good. You kind of see a juggle there. That's a pretty standard juggle for Zack. You see the what you call it, the step attack too. You see all that there. And yeah, it's outside of the new mechanics and stuff like that, the graphics, it looks like old DOA. It doesn't look that much different. So no, it's not insanely different. You get to see Zack's auto combo there. He gets a follow up out of it from the wall, which is crazy. But yeah, pretty cool win post for him as well. One thing that happened there that again is pretty surprising is that he fucking beat out the wake up kick with the break blow, which again is like, jeez man, the meta in this game is just gonna be so different. You see some other examples of the utilization of those tools as well. That the teaser, and again when it's Helena and Janley, she hits him with a pretty like crazy combo at the wall, where she combos into like, I think she combos into her auto combo too from the wall maybe. Let me see if I can actually find that. Where is it? Damn, that was pretty early on there. So yeah, she's okay. I found it. Again, more use of the step mechanic. You see a little bit of a stage interaction there, and she gets a pretty like crazy combo from that. Doesn't fully kill, but it does like a good like 40 solid %. So yeah, I mean this teaser just kind of shows the different applications and like the different types of ways that these mechanics are gonna look with the other characters, but it's not something like really crazy. You just, I mean, if you've been watching my videos and paying attention to the breakdowns, you'd be able to easily like tell all these things apart. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the teaser. Again, it's not until we start seeing like the crazier stuff, like combos and stage interactions and stuff like that, but we see more of the application, how all these mechanics are used, which is pretty cool. But again, that's all the information that we have for now. I think now we'll have to actually wait for the 11th to see anything else. Maybe it's more of the same, maybe it won't be, we'll see. But yeah, for now that's all that I got. You guys can look back at the footage and stuff, see if you can find anything else, but yeah, for now that's all that I have. So thanks as always, all you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time with hopefully more DOA 6. Cheers.